Chapter 12 Split Inner Consciousness. Everything felt like a dream, because that night I saw Shruti reveal a spiritual fortune. She said I must trust the intuition, as she would take care of everything. She went on to hum, while I envisioned herself as that musical instrument, and after the last note out, we sat still to observe the sound disappear into the essence of pure silence. Among the Naga's landscape, there were many holy rocks, stones, crystals, and caverns where spirits existed under the layers of consciousness. The surface of Earth was a layer over the very primal aspect of us, and this part of creation is what we had grown out of. Who knew that underneath all of this was a hidden conscious aspect? Thus, this Naga landscape was not separate from our own consciousness. It seems we are made of a divine structure, and there are levels to the layers of spirit. This same higher consciousness could be found on the surface of Earth, like at the spirit rock in the mystical cornfields, as there were portals into the soulful nature of us. Now the real question was simple: how would one find it? It seemed I was beginning to remember just how much I'd come to forget all this. But at the sight of that inner flame came a great shift, and from then on, words could only call it a split of inner consciousness. Because part of me had a body in the world, but another part had journeyed the deepest I'd ever gone to find pure bliss.
There is just one life for each of us, our own,
said Shruti. Our own? But we're together as one.
Yet if one of us can't go all the way, then both of us are responsible, said
Shruti. Well, is our spirit like the serpent nature, or am I more of a human?
What you stated is impossible. There's no actual description that lives beyond our spirit, but rather what you're referring to is an image of us. This is all just visions and impressions we're dreaming up. You are a human, but you're more than just a human too. Humans can connect to the spiritual dimension, and so there is great pride in human evolution, because you can walk the path out of suffering and confusion. Arise, awake. Do not stop until the goal is reached. Oh, discover divine union and see through this illusion you call reality. Each man and woman has tremendous potential to connect into the divine soul. But do not get stuck thinking you are a body, since the mind is like a time traveler which soars to distant lands, but only for those who have the courage to go. And alas, we are the center of the soul. We have the power to reimagine how our world will be. Since you are here, you can recreate a new version of our reality. Weave this spirit through many bodies and bring forth a pure landscape for humanity. Just imagine the moment we bring forth fruition, when we realize the peak of human society,
said Shruti. But is this all fate? What is the world's fate?
Fruition is not a set fate, but time is the real question. And so the outcome depends on unity, which is impacted by a small minority's actions. I've heard of you mention how the spirit of Earth is suffering, and of course she can get restless from time to time, but in terms of human production, we should wonder what on earth is happening. It seems to be maddening. But what happens if we tap into divine inspiration? What if we imagine beyond these current happenings, because what we are as individuals are not so important in the matter, but rather, what if we allow the imagination of divinity to hasten the progress of humanity and speed up the evolution of our spiritual transformation? From that, we unite what dwells at the heart center of all beings,
said Shruti. And how is the world transforming?
Humans have free will, so there is no need to wish to get rid of any deceiver or demon heads, but rather, our actions will speak louder than words of mental articulation. What if you embrace the confused ones instead? When the earth observes a soul who is giving, the earth begins to notice the things that speak loud through the nature of good action. This is the beginning of fruition, when the human begins to convince our spirit how they are aware and conscious. The longer a human seems to stall and avoid this, the harder the lesson. But when you realize how within us exists the great architect, then we can trust that that architect will lead us to fruition. Still, time is an important question. Even though one may rule their own fate, one's body will go through time to face creation and destruction. The world is time's vehicle for the great transformation, but still, it takes a little time to get any living body realigned with the divine process of our transformation,
said Shruti. And we can't do this process for anyone. So does anyone have control over the humans? Will the deceiver take command over them? And why would anyone want to distract the spiritual nature within the living? And what is heaven? And why don't the humans listen? And what should we do to help this spiritual progression?
Do whatever you want, just as long as you don't cause anyone else harm,
said Shruti. Why not?
The harm you do will come back to you, but you should be aware of the worst kind of karma, when you take action that blocks someone else's dharma,
said Shruti. And what about you? What are you doing?
I allow for the expansion of divine revelations and the evolution of supreme consciousness to emerge,
said Shruti. I blinked when our body climbed out of the cavern as my eyes lifted when sight became aware. Was I in meditation or contemplation? And here's that Shruti instrument, which only requires air. Oh, Shruti came to life in an instant as I pumped it full of wind. And as I emerged from the darkness of the cave, Nandi noticed us when Shruti poured out a hymn. Always a good rhythm, and she didn't speak with words. She was that divine presence. She is that which is heard. All I could remember is that I played the Shruti box when that soothing rhythm touched our soul. That harmony brought us into the present moment, which is where all the revelations came to unfold. There was something so profound about her sound, and so I would naturally evoke her contemplative curiosity. It was she who spoke without words, as she captivated my ideas, where I often described how and why I felt free. Was this moment our hidden eternity? And was this body an illusion? Oh, when Shruti sang, I recalled such a feeling of unity. She guided me, but what did she say? To do whatever we want, just as long as we don't hurt anybody? Hey Nandi, what do you see? I feel a bit split. Do I seem any different? I'm not sure how to describe it.
Remember when you lost your demon head? I think you have a spiritual one instead,
Nandi said. His eyes scanned up and down. His face was not quite a smile nor a frown. He was curious, even though there was no conclusion in his awareness. Just as I stopped playing the Shruti box, the sound disappeared. Say, remember when you told me that the mind is mantra? What is the mantra?
Isn't that what Shruti's doing? It's what she's been telling us,
said Nandi. Oh, I loved this yak, and I loved the mountain cavern too. I love the humans, and I love all the goodness that exists within the hearts of all of you. Nandi rose up from his seat to bend forward. A simple bow to the light at the center of all beings. Why, he had the power in his body to transport us over these mountains. Why, at once I bowed and silenced the mind. We would be alone if not for him. And if we hope of becoming aligned, then surely he would remain as our guardian. Now, of course, I wasn't the smartest one alive, and if my body was a vehicle, then what if Shruti wanted to drive? In an effort to get closer to her, I decided to make her an offering to her divine revelations, and so I built a fire that began burning. These flames reached up to the heavens as the smoke disappeared somewhere higher. After some time, I began to imagine what all of this would look like from the perspective of someone who looked after all of life. What if our soul was a much higher being who was looking through us? And as I imagined this spiritual light, my awareness grew absorbed into the center of my eyes. It was so bright that for a moment, I wondered if I should step into it. What would happen if I offered my body into this fire?
As Surya's heart came to break open, it was I, the intuitive and active imagination, which was a type of spiritual instrument, when a vibration emerged as Shruti's rhythm. I'd urge his body to pump those fingers upon the spiritual lung, so he'd hear the divine intuition. Ah yes, there we go. And so he sang a hymn, which could steady the busy mind, where this man could slow down to listen. As we came into harmony together, I gave him the freedom to travel through the aspects of the active imagination. Somehow he knew it was I, and his mind would recall me to be Shruti, that invigorating spirit within creation, but in truth, that creative energy is called Shakti. Through this instrument, he heard what I said, for I am that which is heard. Still, I don't know if he realized how I transformed through our state of consciousness, but at least this man was aware. Yes, his words would go on to label me as Shruti, but his awareness was far more curious as he went on to get to know me. He was a cute play being, and so I allowed him to tune in and listen. In time, I went on to love him, so much in fact, that I really wanted to guide him to freedom, to that place beyond time where whispers say heaven resides, and he and his species would have the same right to discover the spiritual kingdom that lives beyond human sight. Oh, unseen powers are active here, powers that nourish, shape, and connect. My rhythm encouraged him to immerse himself in the experience of living without having to evaluate or understand. I speak to the satisfaction of emotional needs, to the awakening of the intuitive or lunar side of our nature. For while the sun strives for differentiation, the moon draws us toward union and merging. His calmness among so much chaos signaled a time for cleansing, for reevaluating, reorganizing, and realigning. This was a state of deep knowing, as he was now ready for the great transformation. Success would lie in his contact with the intuitive wisdom and the ability to attune himself with his own rhythms. This was the moment when his lower self was rightly related to the higher self, and it signifies what the alchemists call the sacred marriage. In fairy tales, it is the end where the hero and the heroine live happily ever after. Many come to envision it, or have heard teachings about it. So what would he discover about the great play if we revealed the unspeakable and opened the curtain of reality to all of it? Would the whole orchestra of the show blow his mind and make him short-circuit? Or would he fulfill what he was called to do through all of it? He began to see the whole show as a magnificent production. Oh, I had a feeling he would remember what was within him. And for the first time, I caught him open into that place which we know as the doorway into fruition. Everyone felt it, the deceiver did too, and it shocked everyone in view. And
once the man's mind came back to the fire of supreme consciousness, I felt him thinking,
There she is, within everything.
I was always here, but now he had really started to allow his heart to open. I chanted within his soul, "Arise, awake, stop not until the goal is reached." Oh, seeing it happen gave him the will to never give up on any of us. And so I named him Surya, the light within everything, which spreads to the edges of the universe's horizon. I don't even know if he understood it, but by making this connection, now all of our spirits and human beings could tune into him. Dear Surya, you are the pure light that drives away the darkness. Hold our light high like this, so that the darkness, ignorance, and wickedness will disappear as we look to you while you embody the light of loving awareness. Transform us, evolve our being to carry this higher consciousness. Enlighten us to cross the river of life after deaths into that space which is the divine that cares for all of us. Just before it was morning, Surya rose to play my wooden box when the vibration summoned the sunlight to come out. Every moment he gave life to me was an act of worship, and so his sun would glow and emit our divine light. Somewhere, the wickedness of the world would open its eyes from a demon head, but no longer was he afraid of the darkness. Such ignorance is the first agent of great transformation, and so it is the nature of our inspiration. Every being who comes in contact with him will also be opened to our divine consciousness, and that will break the cycles of ignorance and connect them back into the heart of creation. That night, as he sat alone, I let Surya get as close as he'd ever been to the eternal flame. I watched him cross his legs while his gaze was absorbed on the fire as he sat in contemplation. Then after enough time, he became so united with our spirit beyond his own body when I passed by as a naked celestial goddess. He didn't even notice, and I took this as a sign that I would forever look after him. And like my divine parrot, he found union with me when I began a great ritual.
Did we pick him, or did he pick us?
Asked the Nagas that were connected through the inner cavern. We were made in the image of God. As Shruti, I moved behind him and pushed his body into the flames of the fire. He was gone, but his awareness was present as the great transformation began to transpire. And how long before fruition? Asked the earth. The fire lasts for 9 nights. And then? Asked the earth. After that, no one will recognize him.
Then how will he appear?
Asked the earth. As a remover of darkness. As Shruti, I sang to him for 9 nights from within his soul as Surya was set on fire. This was a special kind of fire, and if he could hang on, then he'd be one of my eternal ones after he was purified. Although these 9 nights came and went with non-stop ferocity, it burnt away all the impurities. If he resisted, he would not last, for this was the greatest opportunity that most everyone else chose to pass. While he burned in the fire for those 9 nights, I wanted to give him courage and hope, and so my fingers dug into the dirt beside the flames to reveal our planned home. Even though he was burning alive, he became aware in his pain, and so we began our silent communication. I would speak to him and translate the voice from the great Mother Gaia who dwelled at the core of the earth. Together with the sky, water, fire, and ether, he came to witness that which is heard. And so I drew more directions and instructions around situations upon the earth. To some, This land was just oceans and dirt, but to others, it was the goddess whom had given all of life to earth. Thunder would rumble, and the sky would cry to reveal the elements were both a response from God and a call to action. For it is I, Shruti, that which is heard, who lives within us as the seed to awaken us. O Shruti, it has been in motion for what they call time. Look to the Father and guide those to him who have found life. Be brave and wise, for you are worthy of those who did not let the opportunity slip away. The instructions you have drawn upon my land is a sacred symbol, and now man will understand the nature and path of our way. The winds, waters, storms, fire, and earth will guide the ether upon its skillful arc and journey. Together with the light of Surya, we have heard your message, and all we ask is that you provide the grace to support humanity,
said Gaia. The awakening burns. His name is Surya. The way, the light, and the truth. Our united future becomes present. As his eyes were focused on the Unalome, even as he burned alive, his gaze opened and his eyes became on fire. His sight had become flames as he saw the circular swirl of a labyrinth, as he knew the path to the peak and crest. The earth also received and sent messages of the path ahead in such a way that Surya would not forget. And as for Surya, I gazed into him while he burned alive in the fire beside the feet of Gaia. His eternal nature was silent from the inside, but you never quite know what is going on within his mind. And as his lower nature came to die, Surya was in the process of that extreme heat which changes lead to gold, and by self-existing within that fire, he himself was no longer in control. Even if he wanted to get out of the blaze, it was not a matter of his personal will. His old life dissolved and disappeared when he entered in to the most powerful element of creation. Whether he knew it or not, this was the greatest and most powerful transformation.
It is time. The fire has lasted 9 days,
said Gaia. 1 foot after the other, I allowed Surya to step out of the burning fire and climb the 7 steps out of all fear. Who would have known that a cosmic ritual could happen right here and be exposed in open air? It appeared as something so simple, but most humans would never become aware. At first, it seemed as if Surya was unconscious from the heat as he swayed back and forth in the fire. But now, he was good like gold, and few understood what had happened.
His personality comes and goes at his own sweet will. He is no longer bound by anyone or anything. The stars are lined up perfectly. There is no question of his duty and dharma. He is working directly under the will of God. He will tell man of this, and his pen will be one that has no need for ink. His pen has in it the fire which burns the ignorance of the whole world,
said Gaia. For 9 nights, I waited while Surya burned alive, and during those 9 nights, Surya did not perish. With the divine craftsman behind it all, he gave Surya the grace to move out of suffering. After the 9 nights, the ancient spirit came to life through him, this time with a new story from the light of a poet as we saw the outline of destiny. No person knows what Surya's power holds, but we behold a great light, for it is ours. Fear not, we have finally come to life. And so I deliver his new birth.